Days of Our Lives spoilers October 17th. Tate and Holly plot big move. Days of Our Lives spoilers October 17th. Tate and Holly's reckless gamble. A new Die Mera Munich plot is born. The hallowed, sun-drenched halls of Salem University are typically a backdrop for collegiate ambition and youthful flirtation. But on the upcoming episode of Days of Our Lives, airing October 17th, they become the war room for a scheme so audacious, so dripping with the intoxicating cocktail of teenage rebellion and legacy ambition, that it threatens to redraw the battle lines of the town's most powerful families. This isn't just a simple act of defiance. This is the genesis of what could be known in future Salem lore as the Tate and Holly plot, a desperate, romantic, and dangerously ill-conceived bid for freedom that proves the apple never falls far from the family tree, especially when that tree is rooted in the Die Mera and Brady orchards. The spoilers for October 17th promise an emotional maelstrom, but at its eye are two teenagers, Tate Brady, the son of the famously volatile Brady Black, and Holly Jonas, the daughter of the late, great Salem heroine Nicole Walker, now under the formidable guardianship of E.J. Die Mera. Their confinement is not one of bricks and mortar, but of gilded cages, of last names that carry the weight of expectation and the sting of perpetual suspicion. The gilded cage and the spark of rebellion. Tate's world has been shrinking for months. Despite his efforts to prove he's on the straight and narrow, every glance from his family is laced with the memory of past mistakes. He's a Brady, which means he's expected to wear his heart on his sleeve and his conscience on his shoulder. But the constant scrutiny is a straitjacket. He's not just living his life. He's performing it for a jury of his loved ones who are always waiting for the gavel to fall. Holly, on the other hand, resides in the cold, opulent mansion of the Die Meras. E.J.'s protection is a smothering force. Every text message is potentially monitored, every social outing vetted, every friend scrutinized for their potential to lead the fragile Holly astray. She is treated less like a young woman and more like a priceless, fragile Die Mera artifact, to be kept under glass and away from the corrupting influence of the outside world, especially the influence of a Brady boy with a charming smile and a record. Their relationship is the one bright, authentic thing in their heavily managed lives. It's a secret shared in hushed tones between classes, a stolen kiss in a deserted corridor, a text message sent under the cover of night. It's also the one thing their families are most determined to control. The October 17th episode finds this pressure reaching its boiling point. After a particularly harsh decree from E.J. or a well-meaning but infuriatingly condescending lecture from John or Marlena, Tate and Holly find themselves alone, the air crackling with shared frustration. "It's like we're prisoners," Holly might whisper, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and despair. And Tate, looking at her, seeing the fire in her eyes that so reminds him of the Nicole he'd heard stories about, will make a fateful decision. Then, let's break out. From whispers to a daring blueprint, this is not a plan to simply sneak out to the Brady pub for a beer. This is a full-scale exodus. The spoilers hint at a scene of intense, clandestine planning, reminiscent of a heist movie scored by the nervous heartbeat of two teenagers. They're not just running away from Salem, they're running to something. A life. Their life. The details of their plot, as they feverishly sketch them out, are both ingenious and terrifyingly naive. The destination, New York City. It's far enough to be anonymous, big enough to get lost in, and glittering enough to fulfill Holly's dreams of artistic freedom and Tate's desire for a clean slate. They talk of a small apartment, maybe in Brooklyn, where Holly can paint and Tate can find work, any work that doesn't come with the baggage of his last name. This is where the Die Mera legacy comes into play. Holly, having lived in the mansion, has access to resources Tate could never dream of. She isn't talking about robbing a bank. She's talking about liquidating a small, but incredibly valuable, piece of Die Mera history, a necklace from the vault, a signed first edition book from the library, something Stefan or even Kristen would recognize in an instant. It's an asset E.J. would never miss, but it would fetch enough on the private market to fund their new lives for months. This act, more than any other, seals their fate. It's not just rebellion. It's a declaration of war on the very system that coddles and confines them. The escape route: they plan to leave at night under the guise of a study date at the library. They'll have a bag stashed, cash in hand, and tickets for a late-night bus purchased with a prepaid card, a ghost transaction untraceable by Daimera cyber sleuths. Their phones will be left behind, replaced by cheap burners. They are, in their minds, becoming phantoms. As they huddle over a phone, mapping their route and whispering their promises, the chemistry between them is palpable. This shared secret, this immense risk, bonds them in a way a simple high school romance never could. They are partners in crime, co-conspirators in their own salvation. Every shared glance is a silent vow. I trust you. I'm doing this for us. The impending storm, the families on the brink. Unbeknownst to them, the adult world of Salem is a tinderbox, and their spark is about to ignite it. The October 17th episode expertly weaves their teenage drama into the larger tapestry of Salem's chaos. E.J. Daimera is preoccupied, but his paternal radar is a finely tuned instrument of paranoia. A passing comment, Holly's uncharacteristic quietness at dinner, it's enough to make him suspicious. He may task Xander Cook, his newly loyal if notoriously unreliable right-hand man, to keep an eye on things. Xander, who has his own complicated history with running and redemption, might be the first to sense the storm brewing, his cynicism oddly attuned to the desperation of youth. Meanwhile, the Brady clan is dealing with its own fallout. Teresa, Tate's mother, is fiercely protective, but often distracted by her own tumultuous life. Her maternal instincts, however, are primal. She may notice the shift in her son, the too casual demeanor, the evasive answers. She'll likely turn to Brady, Tate's father, whose own history of impulsive, passion-driven decisions should make him an expert in recognizing the signs in his son. But Brady is often blinded by his desire to be the good dad, the opposite of the absent Victor he resented for so long. He may see only what he wants to see. The true tragedy brewing is that Tate and Holly's plan is a direct response to the very environment their families have created. The overprotection, the constant reminders of past failures, the weight of their dynastic names, it has all led to this moment of extreme, desperate action. Their plot is not born of malice, but of a profound longing for autonomy. They want to write their own story, not live as footnotes in the endless, bloody chapters of the Daimera-Brady feud. A legacy of running. History repeats itself. Longtime viewers will feel a chilling sense of déjà vu. This is Salem, after all. Running away is a time-honored tradition. We've seen Bo and Hope do it for love, Sami and Lucas for adventure, and even Ben and Chara for survival. The children of Salem are simply following in the footsteps of their parents, proving that the desperate, romantic gamble for a life of one's own is a genetic inheritance in this town. As the hour concludes on October 17th, the die is cast. The plan is set. Tate and Holly share a final, searing kiss, a promise of the future they are about to seize. But the audience is left with a knot of dread in their stomachs. We know Salem. We know that escape is an illusion. The outside world has no idea what's coming for it when two of Salem's most passionate, headstrong scions decide to make their stand. The Tate and Holly plot is more than a teenage fling. It's a powder keg waiting for a match. And when it explodes on October 17th, the shockwaves will tear through the foundations of the Daimera and Brady families, leaving everyone to wonder if in trying so hard to protect their children, they ultimately push them into the abyss.